So somebody asked me how I balance precision and power when I'm attacking because apparently it looks like I hit the ball as hard as I can almost every time. And I replied saying I maybe hit the ball like 80% power a lot of the time. A lot of the time 70% or even less. Maybe like there's a lot of balls that are like 50% I'm swinging. Not roll shots, like swinging. And like rarely I'll hit it 90%, but I'm never hitting it as hard as I can. Um, but the question was, how do you balance precision and power? And I'm not focusing too much on precision. I'm, I'm trying to line up the same way every single time when I'm hitting the ball. So if you watch some film of me, or if you even watch Taylor Crabb does this too. And it's something I've learned as I've played beach is to line up facing the same way in the same angle every time when I'm hitting the ball. Um, and if I can line up the same way and have the ball positioned in the same spot, then I'll be deceptive, right? I'm aiming a little bit more for deceptiveness. But when you do that, when you're trying to line up with the same balance, facing the same way, you are you're losing power. Like I might lose speed coming into my approach. I might lose a little bit of vertical, a little bit of height on my jump. Um, but I'm giving those things up because I would rather be deceptive. I would rather actually be able to hit every shot, even if it's not as hard as I can, than be able to hit the ball as hard as I can only in a couple directions, right? Because that'll be way too easy to read. Like this happens a lot, and if you watch some of my games, the ball will be set too far to my left, and I really try to get around it, and I'm hitting on the left, and I'll be here, and I'll approach, but still be facing that way. I could just turn to my left, face my left, and then just try to hit it as hard as I can, like that way. I guess thumb down or whatever. But I am losing so much vision. It's obvious that I can't cut shot the ball to the right. I can only really high line it, or maybe I could hit it hard angle, but I'm showing like what I'm doing, even though I could hit the ball way harder like that. If I don't take a look on my swing and I just try to hit the ball as hard as I can, like I'll hit the ball way harder. I used to do that. I've done that in multiple tournaments. Game plan was just to swing high and hard every time, not even take a look. Um, but I'm trying to find a balance of taking a look, being able to hit every shot, and also being able to hit the ball as hard as I can while doing that. So I'm not thinking too much about precision. I'm trying to be balanced, have my approach look the same, have my jump look the same, have the ball be in the same position in front of me every time, and from that will come precision, and I'll lose some power. But what I'm working on, what I want to get better at is really hitting the ball harder. It's something I think I lack. I don't hit it hard enough because sometimes I'm not in a position where I can see that sideline and hit it hard. Sometimes I have to just kind of hit it angle and hope that the defender's not there, and I'm just not hitting it hard enough right now to where I could hit it at somebody and get the kill high percentage. Um, so that's what I'm working on is trying to hit the ball harder, and that just comes from strength, from lifting. The longer you have in your arm swing, if you're really winding up trying to hit the ball really hard, you're gonna telegraph where you're hitting the ball. So I'm trying to shorten my arm swing, keep it as limited as possible while still hitting the ball hard. And the shorter you the shorter you have your arm swing, the less you're going to show the defender, right? So then you rely more on muscle than on your arm swing and I guess mechanics. I still think you should have good mechanics because you might end up hurting your shoulder or something. And if you have good mechanics, you could hit the ball much harder. But finding a balance of good mechanics, shortening that arm swing, and then getting stronger with my muscles to like hit the ball harder. But I'm not really thinking too much about. Oh yeah, I guess the question was. I guess the person was asking more about shots. Like, I hit the ball so much, and I don't shoot that much, and why don't I do that? It's because if somebody's shooting a ton, like, I mean, there's only so many shots you can hit. Like, basic is high line and cut shot. So if those are like your two main shots, all I have to do as a defender, and if I know you're shooting like 80% of the time, all I have to do is guess high line or cut shot, and if I get it 40% of the time, if I guess right, if you're hitting a shot 80% of the time, and I'm guessing one or the other, and I'm getting it right half the time, that's 40%. And if you're digging 40% of the balls, that's a really high percentage. So you just can't do that. You can't be shooting so much. Like, you have to be hitting enough to where the defender is expecting a hit, which I think that's more than half the time you're swinging hard to where they have to be stopped. They have to be still, because if you hit the ball, let's say half the time, and then you're shooting the other half of the time, and they guess, and they only decide to pick up the shots, and they guess high line or cut shot, then that's only 25% digs, and that's a decent hitting percentage if you're getting the kill every other time and they're digging you 25% of the time. That means they're only converting on, let's say, 60% of those. You're in a pretty good situation. So yeah, maybe I could shoot a little bit more, but shooting's just risky. Like with a good defender, a good blocker, shooting's pretty risky. If you watch the Olympics, guys, they swung more in the Olympics than they ever have, and it was the most important tournament. But I noticed, I've watched all the World Tour events, all the Elite 16s, and guys shoot a decent amount in that, but during the Olympics, guys were just swinging away. I didn't see very many cut shots. I was very actually surprised to see so few shots, because when it comes down to it, like, your highest percentage is going to be hitting the ball hard, even if the blocker's there and you're contacting the ball high and swinging at it hard. Even if you're hitting it at the block, there's a pretty high chance that it'll hit somewhere in his arms and ricochet out of bounds. Or if you're contacting it high enough and you're hitting it hard enough, you'll hit their hands, it'll go deep, and you'll tool them at the end line. So you have to swing hard. Especially the higher level you get, you have to be able to rip the ball. Something I noticed in my game against Logan Webber and Alex Uckelberg was, well, Logan was doing really well, and he was the first guy that actually gave me some trouble at the net blocking. I didn't really have any trouble this past tournament. Maybe with Nick Amato a tiny bit, but I figured that out. But Logan was giving me a lot of trouble, and I mean, he's 6'10", like, making moves outside of his body. I was taking a look at his weight, because usually I'll look at a blocker's weight and you can kind of tell like which way they're going to go, but he was going straight up and down and then moving his arms, and he just wasn't showing me anything. So at that point I felt like it was almost useless to take a look, because I was taking a look and all I was doing was lowering my vertical, limiting my power. Like, I was looking at Alex Uckelberg, and even my shots, he was like running a lot of 4s and 3s and just running around. I'm like, okay, well, they're not really showing me anything, and good teams won't show you what they're going to do in defense. So it might be better to just, it might have been better in that game for me to just jump high, swing high and hard at one of the corners. If you're swinging high enough, he can really only take deep, or he can only take one thing, really. So Um, that might have been the game plan. I'm still figuring it out. So far, taking a look has worked against pretty much every blocker, every defender, except for Logan and Phil Dahlhauser, I guess. But nobody else I've really felt troubled with. So I guess that's my long-winded answer to how do I balance precision and power. And these are things that I think about a lot, and I'm still working on them. So let me know if you want me to explain anything else, or if you have any questions on what I shared. I always struggle to turn this thing off.